Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy Soto here with the Windbags, back with another one. Okay, the first chip to fall in this wacky NFL draft, this kind of wacky draft carousel that we have every single year, just fell today. Bigger than a Carr signing, bigger than Rodgers meeting with the Jets, bigger than all that, because it has a lot deeper implications. If you hadn't, you probably already know, but if you haven't heard, and here are the particulars. The Chicago Bears traded the first overall pick to the Panthers. So in return, here's how it worked out. The Bears trade number 1 to Carolina. Okay. So Carolina is now choosing first. The Bears get Carolina's first round pick this year, number 9. Their second round pick this year, number 61. The Bears get Carolina's first round pick next year in 2024. And the Bears also get the Panthers 2025 second round pick. On top of all of that, they get probably, I wouldn't say probably, like it was Carolina's best offensive player, which is DJ Moore, wide receiver. So now the Bears have their number 1 receiver that they've been looking for. And they don't have to draft a guy. They have a guy. They don't have to sign any. They have him now. So this has a lot deeper implications on us than you might think. So here's the top 10 draft order. Here's how we're working right now. Okay, the order is now Carolina at 1, Houston at 2, Arizona at 3, Indy at 4, Seattle at 5, Denver at 6, us at 7, Atlanta at 8, the Bears at 9, and Philly at 10. Okay, so you think that a chick who just posted that she broke up with her boyfriend, you think her DMs and her phone is blowing up right now? No. Arizona's phone is blowing up right now because everybody knows Carolina moved up to number 1 to get a quarterback. Everybody knows Houston is going to select the quarterback. Everybody knows Indy is going to select the quarterback. So what does that leave? That leaves Arizona. Okay. What can happen from here? Who can move up, right? All right. Of course, here's the striking distance, because if you need to move up, if you don't have like a top end, like a top half pick of the draft, it's going to be very difficult for you to move up from like the late teens, 20s or whatever to move up to number 1. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have to do like, I mean, the Bills, when they picked Josh Allen, they moved up twice, and I think they only got to like number 7. And they still give up a lot of draft capital. All right. So I think Atlanta's in play at 8. I mean, there's us, of course, at 7. There's Atlanta's in play at 8. I think Tennessee is in play at 11. Tannehill's going to get released. But depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers, I think the Jets are in play at 13. I don't see New England moving up that high. I don't see the Green Bay doing it for whatever reason. But I think Washington may be in play at 16. So those are a couple teams that are maybe in play to be able to move up to that number 3 spot. That number 3 spot is like gold right now. It's real tricky. Honestly, people are asking like, why would Carolina do this so early? You know, it's actually a pretty smart move. So I don't know that they're necessarily done with their evaluations of quarterbacks, but look at it from this perspective. Let's say, for example, Houston is super in love and they want Bryce Young, right? we need to have Bryce Young. We want Bryce Young. You know, we need to have him. It can happen to where Carolina's like, all right, you want Bryce Young? Trade the number one, trade us the number 2 pick. We'll trade you the number 1 pick. Or let's say, for example, Carolina is cool with any one of those top 4 quarterbacks, right? Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, or Anthony. Let's say they don't care which one of the 4 they get. But Indy's like, dude, we really want so and so. Carolina can trade back and to number 4 and still get a quarterback. No one's going to be able to jump in front of them and take 2. There's going to be 1 left for them. So that can happen. It just, I don't see us moving up that many spots. I think if we do a 7-3 without a player being sent, maybe we send we have a player that we can send over. Not going to be as young as DJ Moore, maybe as cost effective as DJ Moore is currently, but we'd have to give up multiple ones to do it at least. I don't know that this is the path we want to go down right now. What this means for the Raiders. Okay. So who they sign here, as far as who they sign to be a quarterback for us, is really going to tell a lot about what our strategy is going to be, or what our strategy may be. If we sign like a Jimmy G or something like that, so a vet that has shown they can win games, whatever you think about Jimmy G, we're not going to get into that right now. Okay. Because that's not important. They're going to be less apt to, move up for a quarterback. Let's say all they do is sign Stidham. Stidham is, I mean, I'm intrigued by him. I think we could see more from him, but he really hasn't shown that he can do much. He had a nice game. The offense looked different, but ultimately we still lost both of those games that he started. If we get caught in the quarterback carousel and we don't have a veteran that we can really look to, chances are more higher that we're going to move up. I think that's a mistake though. Let's see what we got going here. Omar with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Omar. Much appreciated, sir. If I can get my mouse over there. All right. I want us to stay put. If anything, we need more draft picks. I think we should stock up on defense this year. Next year, a better class on quarterback. That's actually what I was going to say. So I think if a quarterback miraculously falls to us at 7, then we should take him. If not, I think we should do everything we can to trade back. Here's the deal. It's unprecedented that 4 quarterbacks are going to go in the top 4. That's never happened before. If it does, that leaves a lot of very high-end talent left for the grab. There's, the edge rushers. There's, got in trouble, there's some corners. There's definitely players that can warrant being a top 10 pick. If they're available at 5, 6, 7, some people may want to jump up and get their guy. Maybe a team in the teens had, and not in their wildest dreams did they think the player that they coveted the player that was on the top of their board is going to be there at 7. And he is. That can be a situation where we can trade back and collect more picks. I definitely think that Soto leaves Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carr. I mean, what do you mean I leave? I said edge rushers, inside defensive. I said there's a lot. I didn't even name any names. Look, I don't think this is all doom and gloom. I think that Carolina is in full rebuild mode. They got rid of the last piece that would cost them any type of money offensively. And they're going all out for the quarterback they want. Again, if they do their due diligence on all these quarterbacks, and maybe they like 2 or 3 of them. Okay, we can even trade back to number 3. A team that moves up to 3, they don't want to move up to 1. Who knows? Omar again with a $2 super chat. We might have a shot at Carter with Max. Yeah, it's possible. He's definitely a difference maker. Thank you again, Omar, for the super chat. Appreciate the support, man. It's definitely a possibility. It's even more of a possibility now. But honestly, a lot of people seem to think that next year's quarterback class is not only better but deeper. I've heard, looking at tape and stuff like that, it's really difficult in college. But honestly, I can see these guys being solid NFL players to make the playoffs. I don't see a superstar in this group unless you're talking about the upside of an Anthony Richardson. The other guys, I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but from what I see of them right now, I don't think we should trade up for any of these guys. If they fall to us and we like them, then yeah, great. But no, I think our move is to trade back. Super Omnicron. What deeper? Caleb Williams, Drake May. Who else? I mean, I'll have to take a look, but I mean, I've heard it multiple times. But yeah, I mean, I've heard it from multiple people. I've heard it from NFL insiders. I've heard it from people that I've talked to that it's a deeper class next year. I've heard a lot of names. I just don't see a lot of. I don't see any difference maker type guys in this draft. They could fool us, What the hell's going on over here? You all right, buddy? You okay? That sounded like a rough jump right there, dude. You lose some weight. Omar, another $2. Omar got paid today, looks like. Thank you, Omar. Appreciate it, buddy. Soto, what do you think of maybe he's worth tanking for? Of May, excuse me. He's worth tanking for. Look, tanking does not work in the NFL. You have to have a bad team already. The only way you can tank in the NFL is if you just don't play your good players. And I don't know that necessarily is going to fly with an organization that's trying to rebuild a culture. Rory Jacks, $5 super chat. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate it. Oh, here we go. Let's hope we don't draft DC Jr. and Levis. Look, man, it's really hard to say what these quarterbacks are going to be. Thank you, Rory. I appreciate it, man. The thing that we're looking at here is we have to take a look at, of course, quarterback is a glaring need, but you have to take a look at it from this perspective. Our quarterback last year didn't play that well. Not only that, they didn't run our system that well. So I don't know whether they didn't buy in or just not used to it or not taking advantage of all the tools. I've heard it all, and there's a lot of valid points there, right? But similar to what I'm going to quote David Carr. Goddamn, fucking the world's going to end. But David Carr said, what Josh McDaniels is looking for is basically a jugs machine, an accurate quarterback. I will tell you where to go with the ball. Just run the offense. Okay, fine. That's why I think he's had success with a rookie Brissett, with a young Garoppolo. He had success with a rookie Mac Jones, a guy that's accurate, that has a decent arm, and he could get the ball where Josh McDaniels tells him to throw it. Okay. He also wants a little bit of stank on it. He also wants a little bit more of an athlete, from what I understand. So the thing that we have to think of, the thing we have to focus on is this: we've been bad. Okay, we've been bad. We made it to the playoffs twice in I don't know how fucking long, 20 years. Okay, so if you everyone was like, oh, we were so close to being good, we were not close to being good. The way the NFL is set up, the way how many teams and like the salary cap and the draft and free agency and how all that stuff works, right? It's pretty much it works to be able to make the playoffs every other year with how everything works out. You should be on pace on average to make the playoffs every other year. We made the playoffs like what? Uh under the last quarterback twice in 9 years, under the last since the last Super Bowl, twice in like 21 years. Like, I understand what you guys are saying that you don't want to like, oh, we're gonna suck and we're gonna this and we're gonna that. We've been sucking, guys. We've just been kind of like going up and down, and it's this hasn't happened. A full like let's build the right way. Let's take our time. We're going to keep our good players because you don't want to lose good players. You don't want to get rid of like a Max Crosby. You don't want to get rid of a Devonta Adams just because. You don't want to get rid of players just because. You still want to keep good players because things can turn around quick. Just as fast as windows of opportunity close in the NFL, they can open. Look at the Bengals a couple of years ago. You never know, right? They didn't have a great defense. They were opportunistic, but they didn't have a great defense. They also didn't have a great offensive line. They were able to get a couple weapons, 2 years, bang, 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 and now you're ready to go, right? So you just gotta rip the band-aid off. No more band-aids, no more like cover up putty, none of that shit. We gotta fix these things. And organizationally, the way what we got to do is we got to fix our roster. Our roster is extremely imbalanced and it's extremely devoid of talent defensively. We have to get more talent on this team. And the right way to do it is through the draft, is through smart free agent signings. Is that going to take some more time? Of course it is. But the thing is, guys, it's been taken. We've tried it the other way, band-aid on top of band-aid, slapping shit on top of slapping shit, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't. So it's time to just, okay, whatever happens, happens, but we're going to move forward with this. We're going to get better players. We're going to hopefully not be shitty for a long. I mean, hopefully not be shitty at all. Hopefully we get a couple of players in free agency. There's a lot of corners that are going to be released. There's a lot of players that we can get that can really turn around our defense. I've never been a fan. RJ and I agree on a lot of things. I know that there's a lot of RJ fans in here, a couple actually. Where's his name? I want to give him his due. What's his name? I think he's gone. Raider Ralph. That's the freaking jerk. Soto for class clown, and he took off. I think. How you still Raider Ralph? RJ for president. Well, RJ and I disagree on just a couple of main things, but he likes to get like, oh, this is a solid guy. We should sign him in free agency. This is a solid guy. Free agency isn't for solid guys. Okay, not taking players from other teams. You don't really want to make your living doing that because most often you end up overpaying for those types of players. If a young player becomes available, that's going to be an impact player or a player who has been an impact player on other teams and they're available. That's what you want to go for. You want to go for impact players. You don't want to sign a ton of free agents that cost you money because that's going to tear down your cap for years to come. You want to get those few impact guys and fill in players to play around them. That's what I think we should do. I call it studs and duds. You get those studs, and then you get like the 1 year guys, the prove it guys, and rookies to fill in those gaps. And you may find a guy. You may get a Deron Harmon that has a great year. You may get a Denzel Perryman that we got a couple of years ago, right before the season started, for almost nothing, and he ended up being our starting linebacker for 2 years. Like that happens, right? So It's just difficult to fill out a secondary. If you can find guys that you can get on decent contracts, on decent deals that are still have some tread left on the tires, but are veteran players that know what they're doing, yeah, I say go for it. Omar, another $5 super chat, man. Thank you. Omar, you freaking dropping dollar bills. Save some for the strip club, baby. Soto we might never be able to find someone as good as Mahomes. The only thing we can do is load up on defense and a cheap quarterback. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if you guys were watching our last video, but RJ, and I'm not picking on him, but a lot of people say this. RJ's like, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you not only have to have a great quarterback, you have to have a top 10 defense, if not a top 5. And we went through the last 14 or so Super Bowl winners, and it was basically 50-50. Like half the teams had a top 10 defense, and half the teams that won didn't. Now, some of the defenses that were, that were not in the top half in points allowed, like the first Broncos one, like the Saints, like one of the Giants ones, like those guys that were like in the 20s, like one of the Chiefs teams was really bad too. The thing is they create a lot of turnovers. They were opportunistic. So they gave up a lot of points, but they also scored a lot of points, and they were able to get turnovers and stops late. They had players that made plays, right? That's what I'm talking about. You don't need to build a freaking generational defense to win a Super Bowl. If you have a middle of the road, middle of the pack defense, and you have a tits offense, you can win a Super Bowl. Plain and simple. The data shows it. Okay. Now, here's the difference. If you don't have a Hall of Fame type quarterback, you're probably only going to get one bite at that apple. Okay. Like I said, the reason why a lot of these players, a lot of these teams can have a one and done type of guy, like a Nick Foles, right? A one and done, like a Flacco, in and out, got one and that's it, right? Because winning the Super Bowl itself, winning that game, is not the hardest thing, right? It's a lot harder in like baseball or hockey or basketball because it's a series. Normally, the better, deeper team wins because you're playing it over a period of time. It's not just one game, one and done. Getting to the Super Bowl is what the problem is, and we're seeing that. That's why some of these lesser quarterbacks who are on that list, even a Drew Brees, who is not a lesser quarterback by any means, I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but you take a look at, he only made it to one. He only made it to one, right? So that's what we have to take a look at is, yeah, we want to build I would love to have a top defense, a number one fucking defense. I would love to have a number one D, right? But you don't need it. You especially don't need it if you're going to go multiple times, right? You got to have that quarterback. You got to have that offense. You got to have that high-powered offense. High-powered offense, opportunistic defense. Say it with me, people. High-powered offense, opportunistic defense. One more time. High-powered offense, opportunistic defense. We've shown you the numbers. It is a misnomer that you need a top 10 defense to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. Look at the numbers. I think we went back to like 2009. It's 50-50. Like half of them were in the top 10, half of them weren't. Okay. But when you see repeat quarterback winners in the NFL winning Super Bowls, they were the top guys. So you need yourself that top guy to get yourself more bites at the apple. The more bites at the apple you get, the more your chances to win, because once you get there, anything can happen. Jimmy Hutchin, what are you talking about? You talking about the maybe that's the Henry Hooker thing. Yeah, man, the Raiders have been scouting Hooker and Richardson for quite some time. I like Hendon Hooker. I think his skill set is, I think he's projected to be probably around an average-ish quarterback, very similar to what we had in Derek Carr. Physical tool-wise, right? some of the other things, whether they're the positives or maybe some of the not so positive things, we don't know yet because we haven't seen him on the field in the NFL. But physical tool wise, he's a little bit more mobile. I don't know after the ACL. ACL injuries aren't as huge as they were back in the day. People jump back from them all the time. I think that I think Hendon Hooker would be fine from his injury. It's possible. I mean, I even think we can trade back into this in the second round and still get him later in the second round. I like McKee. I like Tanner McKee. I I don't think he's as mobile as people want to make him out to be. It still bugs me that um, his record was that bad in college with a good coach. In college, a quarterback and a coach can get you a long way, and they were really bad for a few years. So that kind of scares me off a little bit. But yeah, I see Hendon Hooker being a solid quarterback. I don't see him being anything special. Uh, I can always be wrong. Players can go under the radar and end up, surprising you, right? But I see him being a solid quarterback. I think that if we get a solid quarterback, here's the deal. Here's something for you guys. Okay. I think if Josh McDaniels was Derek Carr's first head coach, I think things would have turned out a lot different for Derek Carr. I think that he was taught a lot of different things, and he just didn't buy in to what Josh McDaniels wanted to do. And I think he wants to do that whole Gruden style. Okay. Um, the the Gruden style is very similar to Carmichael with the Saints. Is one of the reasons why he went there was, uh, you know, always get us into the best play, right? Always get us into the best play. Change the play. You have the whole entire playbook at your disposal. Contingent on the personnel you have on the field at the time. You can change to any play you want, right? Okay. The problem with that is you can be figured out. If the defense can show and bait you, then you have games like the Saints, right? Then you have second halves when the team knows what you're going to do when you show them a specific look, or they have a tendency. That's why it's a give and take. It's yes, I agree with when David Carr said that Josh McDaniels is banking on being right, on guessing right. I don't think it's a guess, but he's banking on being right because again, there is progressions in the offense in the route tree. But I don't know that. I think unfortunately, and this is very unfortunate for Carr. He was caught in between two systems. He was very successful in his with his abilities and skill set. He was a lot more comfortable doing it the Gruden way. Josh McDaniels doesn't work that way, and I think it was kind of caught. It was just a marriage that didn't work with a player very similar to Carr's ability in Hendon Hooker. I think that not having to unlearn that stuff and just being indoctrinated from day one to a JMD system, I think it work out a whole lot better. Plus, we need to learn from our mistakes, people. Right? It's like if somebody's an alcoholic, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic." Great, you admitted it. That's step one. Now, what are you going to do from here? Right? So, for us, basically admitting when we let go of Carr, when we let go, I got to see my head. When we let go of Carr, okay, we whether you want to admit it or not, and you know how I feel about Carr, right? We admitted we didn't do what we needed to do to win with this quarterback, right? That's how we have to look at it from an organizational perspective. If we want to improve and we want to get better, we have to look at it that way. It's very easy to say, "Oh, he sucks, he's terrible, get rid of him, blah, flush that guy, whatever." The stuff that I say. I'm not a part of the organization. That's the shit that I say. If you're a part of the organization, you need to say, "Look, our window closed with this quarterback. He is now way too expensive for what he gives us play wise. It's not worth it. We have too many needs on this team. We have to focus these resources elsewhere to build a team that's going to be able to be a sustained success winner." right? That's pretty much what happened. The window of opportunity closed on this team. I think the window of opportunity started to close after the 17 season when Del Rio was let go. Then Gruden came in, burned up a couple of years, and then next thing you know, you had to pay Carr again. And it's like, okay, the contracts are getting bigger and bigger for these quarterbacks, right? He was under a very manageable contract up until then. And now you're like, fuck, he's not one of the top guys in the league. He never was. He's never going to be. We can't pay him like that because we have too many other needs on our team. And Gruden and Mayock, fucking guys, they left the cupboards pretty damn bare, especially defensively. So we just couldn't do it. It was a numbers thing. It was just business. It's all it was. It was just business. So what we have to focus on is how we need to build moving forward. I don't think moving up is the right way to do it. I think we should stand pat or even move back in the first, second, third round. We should move back at least a few spots every round, maybe more than once. Accumulate picks. Like RJ says, we both agree on this, the shotgun approach. Get as many picks as we can, pick solid players, production in college and measurables. Production and measurables. That's what you look for. Let's see what you guys have going on here. Salty Cracker. Hopefully it's not your butt cracker. This regime drafted 2 quarterbacks that started in New England, 1 in the first and 1 in the second. And McDaniels drafted Tebow in the first. Hard to say this regime drafts quarterbacks in the later rounds. Well, yeah, that's also a different situation too. You weren't looking to replace your current quarterback because you had Tom Brady. You were just looking to get a guy that you can develop and flip for picks in the future. The different perspective because it's a different situation. I see what you're saying though, but you have to take a look at it from that perspective too. Rory Jacks, thanks for the super chat, buddy. $5 super chat. Rory, appreciate it, man. You know I do. Levis is the least accurate quarterback in the first round conversation. Rather have Richardson or Hooker. Yeah, Richardson is actually the least accurate in short passes, like maybe 10, 12 yards and below. From like the 15, 20 on deep, the middle, the mid-range to like the deep passes is actually fairly accurate. I fully believe, and if you guys want to watch tape and you guys want to do a little research, check this out. I fully think that because Richardson's arm is just so talented, he doesn't need to really step in and have proper footwork to hit those short passes. So he just flicks it with his arm. I've seen it a lot. And he misses high a lot, which shows me that he's not setting his feet. Maybe his elbow drops a little bit and he just flicks the ball and the ball sails on him. When he throws intermediate and deep, he's actually keeping his footwork. He's going through a good motion and the ball gets there properly. So I honestly do think that Richardson's short game can be fixed with proper technique. I know that JMD is going to work with him if he is our quarterback on that. That's what I think. I think that his accuracy issues are really overblown. I think Will Levis is a little bit more accurate than his numbers show as well because he was playing in arguably the best college football conference we've ever seen against top NFL picks every single week. And he didn't have a good team around him, man. He just did it. Who else are you hearing from Kentucky that's going to get drafted? Couple guys late, maybe. Like there's nothing really there. The cupboards were pretty bare there. Thank you for the super chat again. Appreciate it. See what else we got going here. Salted Cracker, gotcha, buddy. Gotcha. Like I said, different situation. We're in a different situation than those were. Super Omnicron. Richardson needs proper footwork, but young enough to change up. Higher ceiling. Levis can complete all the routes, but panics and runs out and takes sacks. Well, the thing is he panics because he was under fire. He was by far one of the most pressured quarterbacks percentage-wise in college football. He was running for his life a lot. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Super Omicron. Will Levis had no O line but played hurt. He's tough. He definitely is that. Again, if we get even if we get an average to slightly above average quarterback as they project out in the NFL, if we indoctrinate him to what we want to do with Josh McDaniels, I think we'll be more than fine. We'll be really good. Feng Vu. Good to see you, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. I feel the Raiders have been cursed when it comes to the draft. It doesn't matter which regime, they just don't draft the right players. Okay, let's take a look at that because I think that that's a narrative that a lot of people want to focus on. RJ says, "Look, we haven't drafted anybody in so long. We went quarterback purgatory XYZ, right? But okay, up until like 2010, 20, I think it was 2010, right? Or 2011 when Mr. Davis passed. It was an Al Davis that was trying to find lightning in a bottle every single year. He wasn't trying to build, right? He was giving guys contracts that were like freaking wacky. He was just trying to find lightning in the bottle. He was, I mean, how often do you hear during draft coverage? Okay, the Raiders are up next. I mean, these are the guys that I see that who are the next guys in line, but you never know with the Raiders, right? You never know what they're going to do. They do things their own way. Well, that's mostly an Al Davis thing, right? Now, once Davis was gone, we had that 1 year with Hugh Jackson that was freaking crazy because he gave up all kinds of first round picks for Carson Palmer. But when we got Reggie McKenzie, we started to see the ship being righted, right? We were able to sign a Crabtree, draft a Cooper, draft a Carr, draft a Mack, get a Bruce Irvin, Navarro Bowman. We were able to get Nelson in the secondary. Like we were able to bring Woodson back, like get Tuck. Like we were able to get guys. I mean, we saw something happening where we were getting positional players through the draft that were like organizational pieces, right? So that doesn't really apply for Reggie McKenzie. Now, did he miss like the Gary Conley pick? Fuck. DJ Hayden pick? Double fuck. Like, yeah, we missed, but we also hit. We also hit on pieces that Al Davis didn't hit on the last few years. That Gruden and Mayock didn't hit on with their first round picks. They got some decent players, but honestly, who is our homegrown talent that are like top end players on our team? Got Max Crosby, uh, maybe Colton Miller. You want to talk about Colton Miller? I mean, Renfro is good. I don't consider him like a top receiver in the NFL. Waller was via free agency. Um, you know, Tay was through a trade. I mean, what else has It's Gruden and Mayock didn't really do us any favors. Okay, that put us back really far because Gruden and Mayock, or Gruden thought very similar to Al Davis. Lightning in the bottle, lightning in the bottle, lightning in the bottle. I like veterans. I don't like young guys. What does that mean? When you don't like young players, what does that mean? You're not going to build. You're not going to create depth. You're just going to just plug in a lot of duds, but you're going to pay them like studs, like a Kwiatkowski, like a Littleton. Like you're going to do that, like a Joyner. Like you're going to do stuff like that. And honestly, I think to say, oh, we just haven't been drafting really. A lot of that is the old Al Davis trying to find lightning in the bottle because he kind of saw not only the window of opportunity closing, but maybe the window of opportunity for him to see a championship from the Raiders. Rory Jack, still think we need to kick the tires on Lamar. That's not what we need, my man. You put Lamar Jackson on our team right now, the way our defense is, you're committing too much of that cap space every year. You're not going to be able to build that D the way you need to. I don't know. I don't know if that's the play for us, man. I really don't. I just as bad as as much as I hate losing for I would rather lose for 2 years than lose for 10 trying to find lightning in the bottle again. And if we go for a big, huge, expensive quarterback right now, it's going to be very difficult to build a team because you need a mix of draft picks and free agents. You need a mix of that. You can't have just one or the other. Because if you do heavy on draft picks, it's going to take time for them to develop. It's going to take a while. If you go heavy on free agency, it's going to cost you a lot. You're not going to be able to get as many guys. You have to hope that a lot of duds become studs. All right, guys. All right, well, that's my time for today, guys. Thank you very much. I want to make sure you guys know that I appreciate you guys. Make sure all to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification little button down there. You get notified whenever I go live. We're going to try to make more content for you. I'm here on a rainy Friday night making content for you. If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and hit it up on the comment section below. I love to hear from you guys. But until then, peace.